Give me that baby. I want that baby. Give me that baby, you warthog from hell!
It's Two Dads, One Movie. It's the podcast where two middle-aged dads sit around and shoot the shit about the movies of the 80s and 90s. Here are your hosts, Steve Paulo and Nick Brianna. Hello, everybody. It's another episode of Two Dads, One Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
And today we are continuing down the pathway of Cagevember, which is super exciting. And we have got a whole new, amazing Nicolas Cage-centered film to talk to you all about from an earlier part of his career, actually.
Absolutely.
Not from the mid-90s that we spent the last couple of weeks at with The Rock and before that Con Air, but this time we're going to look at Raising Arizona, starring Cage and Holly Hunter. And it's the second feature film from the Coen brothers, who would go on to do
amazing stuff.
A number of ridiculously good things over the years. Personally, from the Coens, I was never as into this movie, and I'll get into why in a second, as some of the other ones. Like, I loved Big Lebowski.
Yeah, that was huge for our age range too.
And Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Was, fantastic. But this was also really good. So Nick, you picked Raising Arizona for us. Tell us a little bit about your history with it.
Yeah, so I have actually only seen this once, and I think I'm kind of the same as you. Is I enjoy the Coen brothers' work. This movie, people rave about this movie. This isn't uncovering a undiscovered gem or anything. This is, thought of as a great film. And I thought it would be fun to kind of juxtapose along with our other Nicolas Cagevember selections, and kind of is a little bit of a change of pace from the last two with Con Air and The Rock.
Yeah.
Where we had Nicolas Cage, being in some sort of a prison at some point. And in this movie, shit.
Oh, darn. So many prisons.
More Cage in a cage. Yeah. No, so I just thought it would be fun to go to a different kind of phase of his career and see if maybe we're seeing the same things about him.
Nice.
Because the other movies were, 1 year after another or like the same year or something. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought it would be interesting, and the cast is killer, and the pedigree of this film speaks for itself. So I'm looking forward to chat about it, but I'm not super familiar with it. So I'm kind of coming in as a semi-new person here.
That's cool. Yeah, when you recommended this movie for us, I was like, oh, cool, Raising Arizona, awesome, Coen brothers, this will be so much fun. Boy, I haven't seen it in a long time. And then as I'm watching it, I go, oh, no, I've never actually seen this movie all the way through. So I watched it 3 or 4 days ago, and that was actually the first time I'd ever watched it all the way through. So this will be an interesting, sort of conversation. I think both of us coming in with more maybe experience around Cage and around the Coens than this film in particular. It was really interesting, even just coming into it and thinking through comparing this to other Coen brothers movies and other Nicolas Cage performances, and seeing, where things line up and where they're different. And I think that's going to make for a really interesting conversation. Cool. All right, let's jump into the facts.
Yeah, let's look at some facts
on Raising Arizona. So Raising Arizona was released on March 13th, 1987 with a PG-13 rating. It has a running time of 94 minutes. Directed by, I think in the credits we said it was just Joel Coen listed, and then Ethan Coen is a producer.
Yes, I believe so.
But on IMDb, they do list both Joel and Ethan as directors. So they both directed, maybe, sort of, written by, flip the names around, Ethan Coen and Joel Coen.
Nice work.
It's kind of how the Coen brothers always operated, at least until recently.
Good for them. Yeah.
Starring Nicolas Cage, Holly Hunter, and John Goodman. I was actually surprised. I did not remember how much John Goodman is in this, which is great, because Goodman in Coen brothers movies is peak height of Goodman's work.
The perfect fit for him.
Absolutely. Rotten Tomatoes, 91% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics loved this in general. IMDb gave it a 7.3 over time. That's a very respectable score from IMDb. Our buddies Siskel and Ebert, we got a thumbs up from Gene Siskel and a thumbs down from Roger Ebert. What is going on, Raj?
Yeah, so I actually looked at Roger's review, because I was surprised to see that. Yeah. And I think they rate them out of 5 on his website, or out of 4. Okay, so it was 1.5 out of 4 that he gave it. And his big beef with it was the dialogue. He felt like it was unrealistic that all the characters have such, extensive vocabularies and everything. But it's like, yeah, but you didn't know the Coen brothers yet. Because that's kind of what they do in a lot of situations.
And I've never seen Blood Simple, which is the first Coen brothers feature. And so I don't know if the same vibe kind of plays through that movie, and the same sort of, cadence to the characters and the kind of cartoonishness of them. Yeah. If that's in Blood Simple as well. But it certainly is prevalent in every Coen brothers movie after this one that I saw.
For sure.
It's very much their style, but not for Raj, apparently. The film did not win any awards and didn't get any major nominations that I was aware of. So there's that. On a $6 million budget, however, it pulled in $29 million at the box office, which is, small potatoes, but almost 5 times what it costs. So congratulations, Coens. Not surprising why they continued to get booked and got to make movies that they wanted to make. That's good stuff. So, all right, man, you want to kick us off?
Yeah,
get us going?
Let's get into it. And I was delighted throughout the first 10 minutes of this movie with the voiceover narration kind of getting us up to speed with who our characters are and how they end up in the situation they begin in. And we have this great montage where Hi, who's Nicolas Cage's character.
Right.
And he's, a petty criminal, like kind of a doofus who keeps, doing dumb stick-ups and getting caught for it. Whatever, goes into jail. He's getting his mugshot taken by a very serious woman police officer and turn to the right, and he's immediately smitten by her. You could tell he's really flirty with her and everything. And she's all business. It's kind of funny. He asks what her name is. She goes, Ed. And he's like, well, Ed, that's a strange name for a woman. She's like, sure, for Edwina, turn to the right, just Edwina. All business and everything. So we have this scene of kind of his life, going in and out of prison. So he gets his mugshot, then he's in prison, and then he's in the prison counseling session, which is a really entertaining thing to see.
Yes.
And then he'd be in front of the parole board, and then it would show him kind of how he gets back into prison and he's getting his mugshot again. So this goes on for about 5 minutes here at the beginning. And it's really delightful.
Absolutely. And I think a few things to point out. One, clearly, I don't know about current state of Arizona criminal law, but apparently no 3 strikes laws in Arizona in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because these
before Sheriff Joe Arpaio came in.
Because these are clearly felonies. Although we do get, Hi does mention specifically that the gun that he uses, has always used in his stick-up robberies of convenience stores is never loaded. Yep. That way he can't actually get busted for armed robbery or at least not for, the kind of additions to sentencing you would get from using a deadly weapon in a crime, right? So there's that, which is, I don't know if that's, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if that's legit or was back then, but it certainly is true in the story.
Good enough for this film, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he is a bit of a recidivist, which the parole board tells us specifically that as he keeps going in and out. One thing I'll note as well, just having watched Con Air, this accent by Nicolas Cage, far superior and much more pleasant. And it's still got a bit of that Southern, and it is a little more Southwestern, a little closer to Texas, kind of style, but it's
a good job.
It's
at
a good accent. Yeah, exactly.
Well
so
done.
Why couldn't he just do his Hi voice in Con Air? I don't know, but
it would have been funny if if Hi was just like, if Cameron Poe in Con Air was just an older version of Hi.
He went straight by going to the Army Rangers.
It exists in the same universe. A couple of things to point out here. So in the prison counseling session, we're introduced to a couple of other fellow prisoners who are kind of his buddies in jail.
Right.
And it's William Forsythe and John Goodman.
That's right.
And I forget the names. I'm just going to call them the jailbirds, whatever, his buddies.
The brothers.
And there's a really funny line where the counselor's asking, telling them that if you want a life and a family, jail should not be an acceptable option for you. Right. And John Goodman says something like, well, some of us just have to sometimes put career ahead of family. I mean, the way this kind of self-awareness that even the supposedly dumbest characters have is very fun in this film.
Absolutely. And we should point out, we saw William Forsythe last week in The Rock.
That's
in a
right.
very different role 10 years, after this, or 9 years after this, or whatever like that. But it's just so funny to think of the characters in these two movies. They're so different from each other.
Oh, absolutely.
and played so differently in such range. Very interesting. But so one of the times that Hi goes back into jail, poor Ed is bawling. She's clearly been crying. She's trying to hold it back because she's trying to be professional, but she's crying. He asks, what happened, whatever. And she goes, my fiance left me.
I love the way she says
finance.
that.
It's fantastic.
Really good.
But this, clearly Hi sees this as an in, right? And he tells her, tell me who he is. I'll tell him what an idiot he is. The whole deal. And she kind of goes, oh, maybe this guy's not so bad. And he's obviously is a handsome dude. He's got a full head of hair. I'm sure the standards couldn't have been that high in Arizona in the late 80s. So
sure. Yeah. What the heck? I mean, a little bit of the bad boy stuff,
Yeah.
So he ends up, he goes into jail again. And it also shows a scene of him laying on the bottom bunk while his bunkmate on the top bunk is just rattling off all this nonsense, which is kind of a precursor to Bubba in Forrest Gump
Yeah, a little
/ Baby-O in Con Air. I think these movies exist in the same
Oh
universe.
man, so connected.
So, but he kind of makes a decision, like kind of based on, I'm in love with this woman.
Yeah.
And this guy's boring the shit out of me. I'm not coming back to jail.
Yeah.
And he finally gets paroled again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he goes straight to the booking,
right. To
the police station there.
the intake. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And immediately proposes to Ed. And then while he's doing that, he turns to the guy who's currently getting his mugshot taken and being like, oh, hey, Greg. Like just so casually, really funny.
Oh man. So yeah, so he gets a real job. Hi and Ed get together, they get married, and Hi has to, he's not going to knock up convenience stores anymore. So he's got a real job working at, looks like maybe like a
sheet metal
plant,
yeah.
right? That's something like that. And I love it because he's chit-chatting with this guy, the thing, and that we saw him in another Two Dads episode. He was the doctor in Fletch.
That's right.
Right, who gave the anal exam, rectal exam, I guess, to Mr. Babar. But yeah, so that's good. And then I believe it's shortly after that point, we actually get a title card.
Well,
or
so,
what did
so leading up to this,
yeah.
two things I want to point out. One is the wedding scene is very funny because it's just like 3 straight, like very brief 1-second shots. And it's just, I do. And then Nick Cage says, you bet I do. And then the priest just says, okay, then.
Okay, then.
And so he says, Hi says, having a critter was the next logical step. And he's talking about how they're trying to have a kid and they're unsuccessful with that.
That's right.
She comes home from work. She's crying.
That's right.
And he's like, what's wrong? She said, I'm barren. So it shows, the doctor's pointing to this diagram of the reproductive system. And this is the quote that I love from Hi so much. He says, the doctor explained that her insides were a rocky place where my seed could find no purchase. Like, God damn,
such
dude,
Coen
so
brothers.
good.
Perfect. When you stop for a second and like I said, I was watching this going, I think I'd seen this opening before, but like generally speaking, I'm not super familiar with the movie. So I was like enjoying it as like a fresh watch, but lots of context from future Coen brothers stuff. And like the similarities in just the way these people are talking to Big Lebowski and Fargo. And I felt especially Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Right.
Yeah,
which even though that was deliberately set back in like the 20s or like the 30s of the Great Depression, right? Like, much further in the past of this movie, there's just so many hints at what's to come kind of from the Coen brothers imagination in this movie. And certainly the purple prose of these characters is a big part of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after they find out they can't have kids, that's when we get the title card, which is 11 minutes into the movie. I had to go back and look because we've had a lot of like cold opens. Like I realized we've got a ton of movies that have had cold opens, right? The Fugitive had a cold open, Con Air had a cold open, Demolition Man has a cold open.
Right.
This was an 11-minute long cold open.
Crazy. It's almost like a short film leading up to this film.
It's like the prequel. They just put it at the beginning of the movie to get us all set up. But basically that brings us to, the existence of these two. They have this like kind of double wide trailer they live in. And
they're drifting apart, throughout this, lack of success and trying to conceive and everything.
Like wanting to have kids was huge for both of them. And so it really puts a strain on their relationship. That's when we find out about the Arizona Quints.
Yes. So Ed and Hi are just kind of like slumped on the couch eating off a TV tray. It's just the classic like relationship that's not going well view. And on the TV comes this big news story that there were quintuplets born to the Arizona family. Right. And it's a big deal and they get the idea. Yeah.
And the Arizonas are rich people, basically. Nathan Arizona and his wife, whose name I forget now, but whatever. Nathan Arizona owns and runs the Unpainted Arizona, which is like the state's largest retail store specifically for unpainted wood furniture, I believe. It's very specific. But he's got this saying where he always says on his commercials, like, you get the best price here, or my name isn't Nathan Arizona. Yeah. And of course, the funny part we find out later is he changed his name to Nathan Arizona.
Really good.
But yeah, very funny guy. But they kind of see this and they go, man, that's not fair. Like, why should they have 5 babies and we can't even have 1?
Right. And then we're shown the Arizonas sitting there and it's set up, just like a stage play, basically like an unmoving scene where they're both on their chairs. It's settled in for the night. She's sitting there reading Dr. Spock's like baby care book. Yep. And he's just yelling at people on the phone like businessmen do late. There's one really funny thing because it gives us the location. Yeah. And then he's talking to somebody on the phone and then it says 8:45 p.m. And right as he's saying, well, what time is it? It's 8:45. Like he says it right after. It's really just a funny way to do that. Yeah, and they're hearing noises upstairs because, well, somebody's there.
Yeah, right. And so there's a lot of bouncing and banging, and we cut up to the top before the Arizonas make any real reaction. But we cut up to the top, and it's Hi. Hi is up in the nursery. There's this enormous, looks like something out of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, like huge bed for like five wide crib, wide crib, and it's got the baby's names on it. And for whatever reason, their names are Harry, Barry, Gary, Larry, and Nathan Jr. Why they needed to rhyme everybody but the Junior, who knows? Really
nice touch, though.
But it's so funny. Hi is treating this like going to like the pound to get a dog, right? Yes. He's like trying to play with different ones. He's trying to keep him quiet, but he's also sort of trying to see, does this one like me? Does this one react well? What if I pick this one up? He's almost like kind of like trying to figure out like, which one do I take? Because, we understand now he's climbed up through the window, right? Because the last time we saw Hi and Ed, they were driving away from their trailer with a ladder on the roof of the car. So this is what they decided. The Arizonas have enough babies. They need a baby. And so they're going to go take them. But, they're making a lot of noise. The babies are making noise. Hi's stumbling around. Yeah. Finally, Nathan Arizona tells his wife, why don't you go look at them? Why don't you go check on them, see what they need?
Yeah. And he's, this is great comedy by Nick Cage. I mean, again, he is really, really funny, really good in this scene.
Yes.
And it's like slightly surreal. It's almost like 30% the Pee-wee universe. Right. Almost like there's some bit of surreality to it. But yeah, he's testing the babies and everything, and Mrs. Arizona is coming upstairs to check on him, and then looks in the crib and sees the babies are all just sitting there. Right. They're fine.
They're fine. He has left, gone back to the car to Ed and say, I didn't get any of them. Like, I couldn't tell which one to take. Like, whatever. I don't know about this. And she is not having it. Ed is like,
she won't let him in the car.
In there. She like locks the door, rolls the window up. You get back in there. You get me a baby. So.
Yeah. When he comes back, he says, it just didn't work out.
It just didn't work out. So
he goes in and,
so Mrs. Arizona has gone back downstairs. Nathan Hi goes up, grabs a baby, comes back out. He says, she goes, which one did you get? He goes, I think it's Nathan Jr. I also love, like, I know it was the 80s, so it's like, but I've been thinking about it from the perspective of someone who had kids in like the mid 20 teens. That house is not baby proofed at all. Like there's no gate at the top of the stairs. There's nothing. Like that is like not a safe house.
I mean, even the crib
babies.
Yeah, like if the babies can crawl on top of each other, make like a World War Z kind of like zombie stack to get out of there. Like also, they could definitely do that.
How long has it been? Because we just saw the news report. We assume like that day or the day before, right? Like not a lot of time has passed. Right. Like, these are clearly those like 6-month-old babies.
Yeah,
like maybe
crawling
maybe 4 to 6 months old or something at least. Yeah. Like these are not newborns in the Arizona household for sure. But
Hi is very proud of the baby that he got because he was kind of making faces to them as the mom was checking on them before she left the room and went back downstairs. And he gets in the car and she's Ed is now clutching this baby. She's in love with him.
Yes, I love him so much.
Hi's saying, he's awful damn good. I think I got the best one.
Yeah. And because he said, damn, Ed has to tell him, don't you cuss around him. And I love, he says, oh, he don't know a cuss word from Shinola. Yeah, because I love really don't know shit from Shinola as a saying. So that was fun.
So they bring him back to their trailer and they have it prepared with this kind of welcome home sign. They had already planned on it. Hi runs inside, goes to the bedroom really quickly and realizes he has a Playboy hidden there. It's sitting out. So he goes to put it under the bed and then he's like, pulls it out, takes one last look and then puts it under the bed.
It's so bizarre. There is so much like cartoonishness about this. I think the comparison to Pee-wee is very apt. I think that there's, a fair amount. I think if you really look at the entire, catalogs of like the Coen brothers as filmmakers and Tim Burton and maybe like Wes Anderson, there's a ton of like stylistic overlap. Not that any of them took from each other, but just like the approaching a live action movie as if it is at least partly animated.
Yes.
And is inspired by like Mel Blanc, and Jack Kirby, like a little bit, right? Both Looney Tunes and maybe like comic books, right? Really cool stuff.
And the set design in this too, like the baby nursery set is beautiful looking. It's really well composed. I mean, there's so much thought put into that whole thing. Even earlier when they were doing the montage, he was talking about how Ed had become kind of, because of not being able to have a baby, had become too depressed to do the laundry or whatever. Yeah. And she's sitting there on the bed and all this dirty laundry is scattered, but in such a beautiful way. So this really has like the hunger of kind of young filmmakers all over.
Yes, absolutely. So I think it's around here that we get a cutaway to a different scene outside of the prison, right?
Yeah, real quick.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Sorry. So he's holding the baby, and she says the baby's very tired.
Yeah.
And he goes and puts him on the couch, and he says, "Hey, pop those dogs up and take a load off." And they're doing she wants to get a photo, or he wants to get a photo.
Oh, that's right.
And busts out this camera on a tripod, and she's very concerned. She's trying to talk to him. She's trying to look at the baby, and he's just holding his smile for the longest time. He's so nervous about missing the opportunity of the photo. He's like, "We're set to pop here, honey."
Yeah, we're set to pop here, honey. He says it a couple times.
Yes, really good.
Oh my god!
And they ended up with a very funny pose. So yeah, now we're
so we
elsewhere.
We cut to, I mean, a prison, but we can assume it's the prison that Hi has spent time in. And sure enough, the brothers, William Forsythe and John Goodman, they start climbing up through the ground, right? As if they were buried alive and in graves. But really, they're pulling kind of a Shawshank. Several years before Shawshank, where they tunneled out of the prison and got into like the sewage system and come up just covered in human waste. But they are able to pull out. I love John Goodman has to reach down and grab William Forsythe by the leg and sort of pull him up upside down. Like it's like, how do you get upside down? How'd you get backwards in the first place?
It's like a cross between the breech birth through the prison hole. It's like a cross between Shawshank and the rhino birth from Ace Ventura.
Oh my god!
2.
Yes.
Like they really nailed it.
Which also then reminds me of Frank Reynolds in The Couch and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like,
yes, dude. That was some Frank Reynolds looking stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So they go to kind of clean themselves up. The brothers do in like, probably it must be like a gas station bathroom or something like that. And they have the like just mind-boggling amount of pomade that they are putting in their hair, like absolutely gobs and just glops.
The only way.
It's like they used the whole tin between the two of them, which is like that tin should last you like a couple of months. If you're just doing your hair. So they are just loading themselves up with pomade, which probably smells better than the shit they're covered in. So, you know,
and it's raining, so maybe you're waterproofing yourself to some degree.
Yes.
Really, very funny with that. And they end up showing up. Yeah. There's a knock at the door at Hi and Ed's place when they're enjoying their brand new baby.
At like 2 a.m. Right.
Yeah. And their friends very hilariously are saying, "It's the police, open up."
But so the brothers come in and Hi's happy to see them, you know, and honey, and these are the boys from the joint, you know, they just got out. And of course it comes through because they're covered in shit. And John Goodman mentions like, oh, well, you know, we went on our way out, we got into the sewer system, which is when Ed realizes, oh, you boys broke out of jail. Oh, okay. You weren't like released, like, you know.
Yeah.
And from Jump Street, I feel like John Goodman's character is absolutely suspicious of this whole situation with the baby and stuff. Like immediately he's asking questions about why does it say "Welcome home, son?" And they have to like, you know, they do that classic thing where they both try to tell a lie at the same time, but they haven't talked to each other, so they're different lies about where the baby was and why. Like, why would a baby be anywhere not with his parents? Right. It just doesn't make any sense. But he's immediately suspicious of what's going on. But also, Hi agrees to let him stay for a little bit. They got nowhere else to go right now, so it's kind of like, all right, cool. But Ed
is suspicious of these guys, right?
Well, she's a cop.
You just
she's retired now, but yeah, she knows she's a cop, so she's like, this is not. I don't want these people around my baby, right? You know, kind of thing. So.
And they say she's asking them about, you know, what are they doing here? Yeah. And I think William Forsythe says, we released ourselves on our own recognizance.
Recognizance. It's like, that's not how that works, buddy.
So,
God, so funny.
So she basically goes to the bedroom. She's like, you guys got to get out of here. I'm going to the bedroom with the baby. And then they look at Nick Cage and they're like, you know, I think she's got you on a pretty tight leash. And then he looks and gives the funniest wink to them.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry, I've got a genius plan. And his genius plan is that he just says, hey, they're going to stay for a couple days.
Yeah, just for a couple nights, just for like 2 nights, not for long. I also love there's an interesting thing here where so Hi tells in the intro segment, he says his name is H.I., right? But call me Hi. And William Forsythe's character always does call him Hi. John Goodman's character always calls him H.I. And I don't know if there's like something really ingrained there we're supposed to understand about his relationship, or maybe he doesn't actually like Hi as much as he pretends to. I don't know. But there's an interesting thing where Goodman's character always calls him H.I., never calls him Hi. Forsythe's character always calls him Hi. Ed always calls him Hi. I don't think John Goodman ever called him Hi.
You know what's funny? Now that you bring that up, when they introduce the baby to these guys, they say, this is Junior.
Right.
And William Forsythe's character says JR, like the TV show.
Yeah.
So like he's like doing Junior. The initials now instead of pronouncing
That's a good point. It's so funny.
And now we are back talking to Mr. Arizona. The police, the authorities are talking to Mr. Arizona. Mm-hmm. And they're This is funny. They say, Mr. Arizona, which tot was abducted? And he goes, Nathan Jr., I think.
Well, they're all, looks like they're identicals. So yeah, that's rough.
And he's going on a rant about how these cops don't have any leads. And I think we have some of the same kind of interagency drama we talked about during Con Air. With the FBI versus the cops or whoever he had looking at the
it's like the local sheriff.
Something.
Yeah, it's like the local sheriff is there. They're the ones more uniformed, and then there's the two guys in the suits. I think they introduce themselves as FBI, as kidnapping and whatever else. And I guess that's an FBI kind of thing. But yeah, they are not happy with each other. They're both trying to ask questions of Mr. Arizona at the same time and kind of talking over each other. So those two law enforcement agencies are not operating well, and that pisses Mr. Arizona off even more. And that's when he kind of goes on his rant, and everything. But he basically is like, you guys need to find this baby, so
he's like, you're leaving microbes everywhere, and he's like picking up this, and the cops have left this like super disrespectful mess. He's like, you're all hanging out in the one house in this world that we know my kid is not at.
That's a good point,
which is a very good point.
Very good point. Oh, and he does say that his wife and the other 4 babies have left, gone to like her mom's house or something, so they're not there anymore,
right?
Just as a thing. So yeah, so it's just Mr. Arizona alone at home. Cut back to Ed and Hi. And the whole thing is like the boys can't hang out. The jailbird boys can't hang out in the day because some of their friends are coming over.
Some of their proper friends, or whatever.
Exactly, proper friends. So it's Frances McDormand, and I can never remember the actor's
Lance
name.
McMurray, one of the best.
So great,
and he's in. I mean, so much stuff. We'll see him. We've seen him.
Yeah, I mean, from 80. Yeah, we're covering 80 to 99. That guy was probably in 150 movies from 80 to 99. Like,
great actor. He's a good best friend to the main guy, and that's his position in a lot of situations.
Absolutely. Yep.
But yeah, he adds a ton to it.
Yeah.
So they show up, and they're this family that have 5, 6 kids. They got a whole bunch of kids, right?
Demon children. Absolute demon children.
Like every archetype of the worst kind of kid, like every different type of bad kid.
Right.
They have.
They're writing on the walls. They're throwing things around. They're wrestling and screaming and getting into whatever kind of trouble. And of course, the parents are just oblivious essentially to this. They don't care. Either they don't notice or they don't care.
Yeah.
And Frances McDormand, like all she wants to do is see the baby. She wants to see the new baby.
Yep.
But she's, like that classic, like Coen brothers. And this is so great too, again, like just to take a step back for a second, to watch these actors who would later go on to be in many more Coen brothers movies, and to see, I haven't seen Blood Simple, so I'm assuming at least for a few of these, this is their first encounter with the Coens as filmmakers. And it's just, they fit so well. Goodman and McDormand in particular fit so
unbelievable
well into these roles and the style, because the overacting is such a part of it, and to get the right Coen brothers vibe, there's got to be overacting,
Right.
If you think about The Big Lebowski, Goodman overacts huge in that as Walter Sobchak, and Jeff Bridges even does a little bit by kind of underacting in that movie, right? But everybody, the Coens seem to require from their actors either ridiculously big or like almost inexplicably small performances in order to like get the right vibe, and it's so great. And Frances McDormand literally bursts onto the screen and into the trailer and is just immediately like captivating.
She's so great, and she doesn't get a ton of screen time in this film.
She
but
uses every second of it.
Yeah, she's incredible. I mean, that's why she's a legend, right?
Absolutely.
And then Lance McMurray at Glenn is such a typical like shithead. He wants to tell like racist jokes to you. He's ignoring his kids. And then he's bragging about how his one kid, Buford over there already learned his ABCs. And then it shows him writing a fart on the wall.
Oh my God. Yeah, he tells a Polish joke, which is like, when I heard it, I was like, God, it's so wrong in such an archaic way now. Nobody has done that, I feel like, for 35 years. Like nobody has told a Polish joke anywhere in the world for 35 years. And here we are.
Well, in these jokes, it's not like, you have to really understand Polish culture to get this. It's just like, all right, this is a joke about whoever we're going to say is the dumb class of people.
Also a blonde joke, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I remember those really flying around.
Oh,
and especially guys like that. I mean, he would be like the asshole uncle by marriage that shows up and you're just like, this guy.
He is Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite meets the boss you hate. Like that's like.
Oh yeah. So that's the other thing, is that he is Hi's.
Oh, that's right. We should mention
a supervisor at work.
At the sheet metal factory.
You have to kind of put up with his bullshit jokes. And we've all been through that before, where you have to sit there.
Yep.
Oh, I used to have this boss who would tell the worst jokes in the world. And if I didn't give him a reaction, he would tell me like, I don't get jokes. And he would have me call his clients. This is my first job out of college.
My God.
And this guy was a monster. But he would have me call his clients for whatever business reason. And then he would also say, and tell them this joke. And he would give me an exact joke to tell them. And sometimes I wouldn't tell him, and he'd be like, "Oh, he said you didn't tell a joke." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, seriously, torture, dude.
Wow.
So yeah, shout out to Mark. I hope he is no longer in charge of anybody.
Hey, one of my first bosses I hated was named Mark. Isn't that funny?
Stupid name.
It's crazy. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on a second. I have to bring up this line here. When they're at the house and the jailbirds are there and they're kind of watching as Ed is feeding the baby with the bottle.
Oh, right.
And
right.
John Goodman, I think, says, "Why aren't you breastfeeding?
Yeah.
You appear to be capable."
Yeah. And then they go on and say, talk about how they were not breastfed by their mother, and look at, and that's why they're the way they are, why they're jailbirds, supposedly. So,
and I got a little hint that maybe they just wanted a little exhibition in front of them.
Certainly seemed like it,
but
yeah, I don't think they're actually out there giving good pediatric advice. They're probably just hoping to see a nipple or two. Yeah.
Sorry. Back to Glenn and Dot are there at the house, and Dot is really concerning Ed and asking her, "Well, have you done this? Have you done this? Do you have this set up? Do you have a college fund? Do you have a pediatrician? All this stuff? Do you have these shots and all?" And she's just kind of like, "I just found out about that."
Right. Well, because she's holding a 6-month-old.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, from Dot's perspective, it's like, what the hell have you been doing?
You've had a long
like,
time
holy
to
crap.
ponder
How do you
here.
not have a pediatrician yet? You were pregnant for 9 months, going to your OBGYN, then having a baby. Like, of course you don't? What? It actually, Dot's not being unreasonable. No. Right? The expectations, it's funny because I was watching this, thinking to myself, oh man, she is really going hard on them on the second day they have a baby. And then I thought to myself, wait, no. She doesn't, if she knew it was the second day they had a baby, she'd have called the cops. Like, it'd been clear that they kidnapped this child.
Yeah,
That's the thing I love about this movie. Just like, for a second here, let's just appreciate the fact that the Coen brothers have given us a film wherein our heroes and the people that we are so clearly rooting for the entire time are kidnappers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it takes me a minute to recognize that, but it's really true.
But I think it works because I mean, the Arizona family doesn't appear to be appropriately tormented by what's happened to them.
They seem more offended that someone would take something from them, but
Yes.
I feel like he'd be just as pissed if his car got stolen.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it seemed like that.
Yeah.
So Glenn is telling Hi, he casually suggests, "Hey, we're swingers."
Right.
He brings this up. What about some wife swapping? And I don't know if he was trying to propose it as a solution to his own problem, because the other thing that he has mentioned multiple times is that there's something ain't right with my semen.
Right. That's right. He says it several times because Dot wants a 6th
she
or
wants
7th
more
or whatever.
kids, right? So they have
yeah.
a crazy amount of kids, and he's basically suggesting wife swapping. I don't know if it's a solution so that Hi could maybe impregnate his wife, but either way, it's inappropriate. Hi is not interested in it.
Yeah. Because he says, Dot thinks you're pretty handsome, and I certainly think, Ed's quite the looker, whatever, he's trying to say. And Hi does not get it at first. And he goes, what are you talking about? And he goes, oh, we're swingers. I'm talking about wife swapping.
Yeah.
And he knocks him out. Hi just gives him one right to the nose and just punches the hell out of him. And Glenn runs off and
right into a tree.
He
hurts himself way worse. Yeah,
yeah.
It looked like what are those called?
Saguaro. Yeah. The ones that wave goodbye to you. Yeah. So he runs right into a cactus.
Right.
And it's just all bad for them. But I think that's the last we see of Glenn and Dot for a little bit.
Yeah, and he's screaming. Hi is screaming, "Keep your goddamn hands off my wife," which is very Will Smithian.
Yeah, but much more Glenn deserves it more than Chris Rock did. That's for sure. So they decide that they have not prepared enough for this journey of parenthood. And among the things they need is diapers. They don't have enough diapers. I don't know if they have any diapers at the house, but they definitely don't have enough. They need to go get more diapers. And so they pull up to a convenience store, they park, and Hi gets out, and the first thing we see him pick up when he's in the convenience store is some pantyhose.
Yep.
Because he's going to pull that over his face and stick the place up. And sure enough, he does.
And the clerk in there is he's kind of like the donut shop kid from Boogie Nights, and he's sitting there reading a Jugs magazine.
That's right.
As he comes up to him. Yeah. So he says, "I'm going to take these diapers and whatever cash you have in that drawer."
Right. At which point Ed looks up and notices what Hi is doing and is mad and starts, that son of a bitch. And she drives off. And the clerk had a little alarm button to the cops he was able to push when the gun came out. So that's, I think, why Ed looks up. She hears the sirens off in the distance and then realizes what Hi is doing. And she drives away because she's like, I got the baby in the car. I'm not going to just do this.
We're not going down for this.
He starts running after her. He runs after her. And the coolest, I swear to God, this is the coolest chase scene ever in movie history. In movie history. First of all, it is over 8 minutes long, which is amazing. 19 minutes of this movie is the cold open and this chase.
Yeah.
And the whole movie's only 94 minutes.
Movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a great, so there's some of the pieces of this I love. The cops start shooting at him immediately. They don't yell freeze.
No regard for anything.
They're shooting at houses.
Yeah.
They're shooting everywhere. It's just ridiculous. He gets into a backyard and there is the second primary attack dog of the 80s, the Rottweiler.
That's right.
Not a Doberman.
Not a Doberman, but one step down.
But a Rottweiler comes in, and of course it's on those staked chains, right? That's just long or just short enough that it doesn't get him, and Hi's able to get away. But like that little moment is one that I love. But yeah, it's like all this stuff until finally, I guess Ed decides that she's going to try to find him and pick him up. And sure enough, is able to like drive and see and find. Oh no, does he go to the grocery store first? He runs into the grocery store. And they're shooting up the grocery store.
Shot at in the grocery store.
It's so insane.
And he's throwing diapers at the cop and stuff like the things that he's doing. And then the grocery store worker pulls out a shotgun and is shooting. So everyone is just blasting at it. I mean, this is a Western, but it's set in the kind of
that's a Southwest.
The way that they talk and everything.
Yeah,
it's kind of Deadwood-ish a little bit. The vocabulary that they use.
Like a modern Western.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And the soundtrack to this whole scene works so well. It's music I would never listen to in real life, but in this scenario, this yodeling country music, this kind of pre-Hank Williams style of country music that we knew in this is just, oh my God, it works so well. And it stops for a bit and then it comes back on when the dog gets off the chain.
Oh
and
my God.
Really, really well done. But yeah, super enjoyable, and he's being chased by a mob of other dogs too, because they all join the Rottweiler. So he's going like through a house and everything. We're getting a chase similar to the Point Break chase.
Oh yeah,
where Johnny Utah's running through the apartment and the sliding door and all that stuff. Really, really great. And it ends with he's in the car, she's yelling at him. She slaps him immediately.
That's right.
And he does a classic face, when you get slapped and it turns your entire head. And she's yelling at him and he's like, turn right here, sweetie. Right. Oh, turn left here, sweetie. While he's absorbing, everything she's saying. And he ends up scooping the diapers up off the road.
A foreshadow to a future scene where someone has to scoop something off the road as well, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
Yes.
From going into the store to picking up the diapers off the street, I timed it as 8 minutes, which
Crazy.
is like so insane, but so much fun. Oh my God. Like just a great scene. Absolutely great.
Oh, he had the nylon on and he tried to get into another guy's truck at one point.
That's right.
And he gets in there and the guy looks at him and he goes, son, you got a panty on your head. Oh man. So fantastic stuff.
Yes. So we get back to the trailer, I believe, and the brothers are there, and I've got a note here that basically says one of them, Coen, I think it's William Forsythe, will go, what he need, his dip tet? Like he knows what the shot is, but I can't remember the context of what happened there. But it was very funny.
That was really, really
dip
funny.
Tet was.
And they're just surrounded by empty beer cans and stuff. And Ed basically takes the baby into the bedroom. She's like, we'll fight about this tomorrow, but we're going to bed.
Yeah.
And they're trying to convince Hi that, hey, you're a criminal.
Right. Yeah. This is not for you.
You shouldn't be a dad, but you can at least send money to this family.
Right. Exactly.
That's the plan. And we have this plan to heist this bank.
Right. There's a bank. It's like all farmers and hillbillies and hayseeds, they say, but it's like on the whatever day of the month, every month, there's more money in the bank because people come in and check their farm, cash their farm subsidies checks. So the bank has to have more cash on hand at the time. And that's when they're going to rob it, is the idea, is they'll go knock it over when it's extra flush with cash.
Right.
Which makes a lot of sense. One thing I did notice while they were chatting with Hi in the front seat, we kept cutting to ostensibly Ed and the baby sleeping in the next room, but that baby is never asleep. Not once are any of the babies in this movie actually shown sleeping. I don't know if it was a thing about not being able to get one to fall asleep with cameras and lights around or what, but they're definitely never asleep. They did shoot it from behind and it doesn't move around a whole lot. So you kind of get the feel, but it's like, if you look closely, it's like, oh no, that little bugger's still moving around.
Yeah.
So at this point,
when John Goodman's telling them, how they found out about this bank, he has kind of a funny anecdote about some guy that we met in prison who used to be Richard Nixon's Secretary of Agriculture or whatever. Right. And he says, Ordinarily, we don't associate with that type.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like that's so much worse
so great.
than the petty criminals they are.
Yeah. So Hi basically writes a goodbye letter.
Yep.
Hey, I'm a criminal. I'm out. Like
Right.
I'd rather have you resent me while I'm sending you money than me fail to be what I need to be when I'm around here.
I mean, they know, he's basically at this point, he hasn't talked to Glenn yet, but he's figuring he's lost his job, right? He punched his supervisor in the nose, so that's done. And he's wondering, how is he even gonna support the family and make money for them to buy food and stuff. So in his mind, this is like the next right move. And I think that's when Glenn shows up at the door, I believe.
So first we have a flash to another character that we haven't brought up yet.
Oh yeah.
Who just showed up a little bit earlier, and we're kind of unsure if this is just a figment of Hi's imagination or if this is a real guy. But Hi said that, kind of when I did a bad thing, then it's almost like he summoned this biker of the apocalypse is what he referred to him as.
Yeah, like he dreamed him into existence almost. Yeah.
And it's this great character actor from the time, Randall Tex Cobb, who is this big, I guess he used to be a boxer or something like that.
Must have been something.
Ended up being an actor, very good at being like a goofy, intimidating guy.
Yes, yeah.
And he's on his motorcycle. He's filthy. He's smoking the worst looking cigars I've ever seen in my life. He's got shotguns, grenades, all this stuff. And he's just like killing small animals as he travels across the country. So at this point, we see that he has arrived now at Arizona's office.
That's right. At the unpainted Arizona offices. And he's basically there. Nathan Arizona's secretary, somebody says, "Oh, sir, I don't know why he's here. Like he just came right in," kind of thing. And this character, and his name is Leonard Smalls, he tells Arizona, basically there's a reward out for your baby. I know how to find it. That's what I do. I find things. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. That price is not enough. Nathan Arizona has offered $25,000 for the return of his baby. Yep. And he basically says, a healthy white baby, I can get a lot more than that from somebody else. So if you're not willing to pay $50,000, somebody else will. Yeah. And I'm going to find the baby either way. Like I'm going to get the baby either way.
I don't see that in many. I mean, I like this device of being like, well, I'm stealing the baby no matter what, either for you or it's gone. So
I'm happy to return the baby to their rightful place, but only if you give me what I want.
Yeah.
It's like second kidnapping.
And the way he talks is very funny as well.
Yeah.
So he says to Mr. Arizona's like, the reward's $25,000. He says, the price is not what you say it is. It's what the market will bear.
That's right.
All these different, it very Lebowski-ish, the way that randomly a character will have some very prescient thought.
We just got a very brief lesson on Adam Smith's invisible hand of the market, right?
Exactly. So now Glenn, now we're back at the trailer.
Right. So Glenn has showed up basically to tell Hi that he's fired.
Yep.
Right. You're fired. There's that. But then they realize he's got a newspaper and it shows that, Nathan Arizona Jr. has been kidnapped. And Glenn said, I know, Dot and I know that who that baby is. That's not your baby. That's the Arizona baby. And here's the thing. We're not going to turn you in because you're going to give that baby to us and we're going to raise that baby because Dot wants a baby. And so they're basically same idea, but it's basically if you've got, I think he says 2 days, you've got 2 days to hand over the baby or we're going to go to the cops and turn you in.
Yeah.
Which is there's not a whole lot of ways out of that, it seems like, right? Initially, at least.
No. Really brutal. So Glenn takes off, and I think this is the last we see of Glenn. Yeah. So in the meantime,
well, not quite. There's a little scene with Glenn later where he gets himself in some trouble, but that's okay.
That's right. Okay. So this is funny here. So now Hi is back in there, and we got the jailbirds there, and they seem to have changed their plan, and they're kind of like.
Because they heard Glenn say who this baby is.
So they know this baby is valuable as hell. So we're doing our crime spree still, but we're taking this baby with us. And we don't need Hi as any part of this.
Well, I think it's mainly I think initially they're like, we can still knock that bank over, but we'll return this baby and get the $25,000 reward. I mean, that's what they're thinking, which is guys, you are fugitives, so you need to be careful about trying to collect on a legitimate reward.
Seriously,
they're going to put you back in jail, guys. But they basically, there's this huge fight that happens mostly between Goodman and Hi while Forsythe holds the baby.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite moments in it is that they're both such big guys. Cage and Goodman are both very tall.
Yeah.
They scrape. I think it's Cage scrapes his knuckles on the popcorn ceiling,
dude. And he goes for a double axe handle attack.
That's right.
And scrapes his knuckles, and he's screaming like crazy. I wrote down at this point that up till this point, because there's been a lot of it, some of the best man screaming I've ever seen in a movie, and we haven't even scratched the surface yet.
That's true.
But yeah, I love that popcorn ceilings came into play.
Yeah.
That's a very nice detail.
Very classic, very classic. And so basically, they beat the hell out of Hi, and they leave with whatever car that they stole to show up in.
Right.
But they leave with the baby, and it's like almost immediately they're falling in love with the baby too. They talk about the baby and wanting to keep it, and like, look at him, he's so great, and he looks so perfect, whatever. So these guys they've now changed their plan again. They're not going to turn the baby in for the $25,000 reward. They're going to go rob the bank, but that baby's going to be
He's
theirs.
in our crew.
He's in the crew now. Maybe in a couple years he'll be able to like win, he'll be the River Phoenix sneakers character. He'll go through the ducks, that kind of thing. But yeah, so they go. This is when they go to get some baby stuff, I think, at a convenience store, and then stick it up instead of paying for it. But like, they're asking the old timer behind the counter advice on what to get.
Yes.
And he gives them advice, and then they pull the gun. Okay, thanks very much. We're going to go now, whatever. And I love it because this is something we haven't mentioned this earlier in the episode, but like several characters, especially in the very beginning segment, said okay then, but they all said it okay then. Like, I think the parole board does it. I think that's what the priest or the minister for the wedding says it that way. And this old timer is like, all right, you get down now. This is William Forsythe. You get down and you count to 500, and then you count back down for 500. And I'm going to come back in 5 minutes and make sure you're counting. If not, I'm gonna blow you away.
Yeah.
And he just goes, okay then, and like gets down on the ground. It's 1, 2, 3, and it's like
so the things that they get from the store, he gets the diapers, and he asks the clerk, how do you attach the diapers?
That's what it was. Yeah.
The thing that I loved is there's this bag of balloons, and he sees this bag of balloons, and he goes, "Does these blow up into funny shapes?" And then the clerk goes, "Not unless you think round is funny."
But he takes the balloons and he takes the diapers and whatever. And so they go, and they, I think even Goodman's filling up the car with gas or whatever. They're ready to go rob this bank. So they get in the car and they head off, and not too far, but like actually pretty far away. They realize that car seat is not in the back of the car. Right. They left the baby, as it turns out, in the middle of the damn street, which is like pretty wild.
Well, they left him on the roof of the car when they drove away.
That's what it was, right?
And
somehow he fell,
so they're freaking
and
out.
didn't get hurt, which is great. But like,
and they're losing their minds, both of them screaming. It's very funny.
The male screaming,
just absolutely losing their minds, and they end up getting back, and they have the baby.
Yeah.
And they, and then they go towards the bank, and at the same time now, Ed and Hi are looking to retrieve the baby.
Yeah, they've also
they're on the road.
Ed came home, found Hi, whatever, and they're out looking for the other. They know obviously the brothers took the baby, so they're out looking for it. At which point, I believe this is where Leonard shows up at the double wide and sees the chaos and all of the mess and everything, the fight that happened. But he knows now, okay, no, the baby's not here. Now he's got to go looking for the baby. But he's a tracker, right? You got to figure he probably can follow a couple sets of car tracks away from the trailer.
Earlier when he first encountered the pomade in the bathroom, he had like sniffed he was picking up the actual scent of it. Interesting thing, that bathroom where they put the pomade on their hair had graffiti on the door, and it said POE was the top thing that it said. And then it said EOP. It said it in like a different thing, but it says Poe. So once again, Con Air prequel.
See, I'm such a nerd. I heard POE. I immediately thought power over Ethernet. I was like, I don't think that existed in 87. But anyway, So now Leonard is on the trail. So everybody is heading, and the brothers have gone to this hayseed bank, this farmers and mechanics bank or something like that, that they're going to go stick up. And I love their outfits. They got the big trench coats on. They look very much the part. They still have their hair is still ridiculously greasy and everything. And they go in and they bring the baby in with them.
Right. They have a discussion before they go in. They say, well, if we leave him in the car and something happens to us, it might be hours before somebody finds him. That's too dangerous. So let's just bring him into our gunfight, potential gunfight.
I mean, I got to give them respect for like kind of recognizing that like a baby left alone in a car for hours could be very dangerous. Like maybe not, that could be all bad, but the alternative being bring him into the bank robbery does not seem like the right call at all. But that's okay. So they go in and they put the baby down, and
this scene is excellent.
It's really amazing. And they start off with John Goodman yells, "All right, everybody freeze, get down on the floor." And like nobody moves. And finally this like old guy closest and goes, well, son, which is it? You want me to freeze or you want me to hit the ground? Because if I hit the ground, I'll have stopped freezing. And if I freeze, ain't no way I'm reaching the ground. And it's just like so explanatory. So and then they're like, where'd the tellers go? And then they're like, we're down here. God, like they dropped like you told them to, buddy. Like,
yeah, really good. And they call each other by their real name. And then he's kind of like, oh, why did you use my real name? He's like, code name.
You mean your code name?
Oh, that's code name.
That's right. We're using code names.
Such an excellent scene, though. And they end up getting their bag filled with money.
Yep.
And then the teller puts one of those like exploding dye canisters in there.
Yeah. Big. So the dye packs, they've gotten much smaller. They used to be, it was like a whole canister. Like, it was enormous. It would have been easy to ditch, you think, if you look for half a second, you know?
That's like a Coors Light pint can, size,
at least.
that thing. Yeah. So they're driving away and they're like, oh, we got the money.
Yeah.
Like, we're good. Yeah. How much is this split 3 ways? Kind of like, because
they're going to give the baby. Yeah.
And they turn back and then they realize we did it again. Right.
That baby's not there.
And pretty much at the same time, they realize that the dye explodes and it's just blue that they can't wipe off the windows and stuff.
Inside the windshield,
everywhere.
They can't see anywhere. So they crash. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and
they encounter Ed and Hi.
Oh, that's
on the
right.
road,
That's right.
Who are like, where's the baby? What'd you do? They're like, back at the bank. So then they take off after him. And William Forsythe is like, I'm worried sick about him.
It's our baby too.
So good.
So they go back to the bank. And now, of course, they didn't leave the baby inside the bank. They kind of, once again, either put it on the roof and then drove off, or they left it in the middle of the street. So it's in the street. So Hi and Ed are racing in their car towards the baby. And I got a little nervous at this point, just thinking like, now they might want to slow down at some point here because you don't want to run the baby over or whatever.
Yeah.
But they go, but before they can reach the baby, they see off in the distance coming from the other direction, this motorcycle. And it's Leonard Smalls. And he actually is able to swipe the baby up just like Hi grabbing the diapers off the road and kind of stick the car seat on the handlebars, I guess.
Yeah, just like the bikes have that built-in baby seat.
Right.
And like,
it's like
he was prepared.
We had those when our kids were little. We had the little like carrying thing that like clicked in so the base would stay in the car and you click it in and out. It's like, but that was pretty advanced. They don't have that in 87, I don't think. But yeah, so now Leonard's got the baby.
And basically they're driving the car at him. He pulls out a shotgun. Excellent blast out of the windshield. One of my favorites that I've seen in a film.
Fantastic.
Really good windshield blast. They kind of crash their car. So he has the baby and Ed just kind of marches up to him.
That's
like
right.
No weapon, just like, fuck you, buddy. That is my baby. I'm taking it.
And that's when she delivers the famous line, right? Like it's just, I want that baby. Give me that baby. You give me that baby, you warthog from hell. He does look like a warthog. He's all furry. He hairy.
And then he has a couple like knives ready.
That's right.
And basically, Hi is able to shoot him directly in the hand, which is really good accuracy.
Fantastic.
And then with his other hand, he throws the knife and knocks the gun out of Hi's hand.
Perfect shot.
So
lots of accurate action happening.
Really
there.
nice.
Yeah, dead eyes.
Even with all like the bad cigar smoke and dirt in his eyes, he really does it. In the sun and everything.
Yeah.
So Hi and the biker end up in this great fist fight.
Yes.
And this is again, Nick Cage's faces while he's getting beat up are just this amount of overacting that make it so perfect.
Yeah.
And it's really, really funny. So like his physical comedy chops are excellent in this movie.
100%.
As he's getting beat up. It turns out that the biker is able to get him in some sort of a bear hug.
Yeah.
And he's just crushing him.
Yes.
Right. And he has this vest on with all these grenades.
He's like a bandolier. Across his chest.
And Hi is able to pull the pin from one of those grenades before he gets away a little bit. Yeah, I would recommend like separate grenade storage. Like maybe not on your person. Like maybe have a grenade duffel bag in a blast-proof trunk or something.
I mean, really should be in a box with like a biometric scanner to make sure that the kids can't get a hold of the grenades. And that's really important.
You don't want the kids in your grenade stash, folks. They're expensive.
Before Leonard Smalls blows up, we do see on his chest is the same tattoo that Hi has on his arm.
Right.
That looks vaguely like the Looney Tunes Roadrunner character, but not exactly. I can't quite tell what that image is supposed to be or why they have the same tattoo.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a car thing, like a we'll have to look it up. We'll add a correction next year when we do this again.
Right.
Yeah, so he notices the tattoo and I thought for a second like, oh, maybe that they'll come to some sort of reconciliation.
We're buddies. Look,
yeah, you and I, we're not so different.
Nope, he just pulls the pin, blows Leonard up.
And before he blows up, Hi looks at him and he's just like, I'm sorry. It just blows his ass up.
I'm sorry. So Leonard's gone. The brothers are SOL, and Hi and Ed have got Nathan Jr. back, and they decide to do the right thing. So they drive to the Arizona house and climb up the ladder into the nursery and go put the baby back in the thing. But I think that's when...
with the burnt out copy of the Dr. Spock's book, which is really funny how that travels with the baby wherever he goes throughout the film.
When Hi first took the baby, he grabbed that and he said, "Oh, look here, hon, I got the instruction manual."
Yes.
But yeah, so they are bringing it back. And there's this really great sort of conversation between... because basically Hi and Ed... Ed's so mad that Hi got the baby re-kidnapped by the Jailbird brothers that she's basically telling him, like, we're not sticking together, you know, we're done. And so there's this really great scene between Hi and Ed and Nathan Arizona about like what it takes to keep people together. And oh, I'm so sorry you can't have babies, but like maybe there's something else, you know, that'll keep you two together. You got to like talk to each other. It was a very interesting kind of nice thing. And I did leave, you know, obviously with the sense, I think that Hi and Ed are fine, you know. And we get a little bit of an epilogue that kind of just, you know, talks about them still being together, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and the epilogue, I mean, the speech by Nathan Arizona, because the tone of this movie, it's still, even though it's like a outlaws on the run, like it's a very sweetly intentioned movie in a lot of ways. Yeah, you know, if misguided, but it's right, like you know, at its heart, it's like somebody who's doing what they think the right thing is in a stupid way. Yeah, and the Nathan Arizona conversation really kind of ties it together. And he even empathizes with them when they say we can't have kids of our own. And he kind of alludes to fertility treatment, it seems like, because he's like, oh, my wife and I couldn't. And now look at this shit. Yeah.
Although they mentioned that they did some kind of fertility, even at the beginning of the movie when they first announced that the quintuplets were born. There was some comment about they were trying and they used like this new fertility drug and suddenly, boom, 5 kids. So that is part of it.
So I thought this was kind of funny. So after this conversation and Nathan's like, he lets them say goodbye and he's like, well, why don't you go out the way you came? And then he goes and just leaves the room with the baby that they just kidnapped, just unsupervised.
I can't co-sign that action, Mr. Arizona. You should have at least waited for them to leave and then, you know, lock the window behind them or something.
Yeah. So the movie ends with a voiceover by Hi's character,
like it started.
Just like it began. And he's talking about a dream that he had, which is like kind of a theme that's come through a couple times in this film. And part of the dream is that his jailbird buddies like went back to prison through the hole that they escaped from.
Climb back in and just put themselves back where they belong.
And he's thinking about other people in his life. He's thinking about his friend Glenn. And he says, yeah, maybe people finally got tired of hearing his jokes. And it shows him, you know, too many Polish jokes. And it shows him being pulled over by an officer who has a badge that says like Officer Kowalski. And
Sergeant, I believe it was.
And then he goes to this scene of the Arizona family on Christmas morning. He's like, well, maybe Nathan Jr. opens a gift from a couple he's never met before. Right. And it shows him getting a football. And, you know, maybe this football inspires him in some way. And later in life, he's a star. And he's like dreaming and talking about how, oh, I've never dreamed this far into the future. And it wasn't super clear to me, but it was an old couple who I thought was me and Ed. And dude, I mean, really like kind of a tearjerker that last scene. It was very, very sweet. Talking about how, you know, I envision like kind of no matter what, we're still okay. We're still together. We have all this happiness in our lives. We have a family who's okay. We have grandkids who are okay. Like kind of everything's going to be okay. Like I can't see for sure that that's what this is, but that's what this feels like to me. And that's kind of like how it wraps.
And it certainly looks like the intimation or what he's dreaming ahead, whatever it is that they do end up having through adoption or something else. I don't know. I mean, they do try adoption early in the movie, but because of Hi's criminal past, it's denied. But they have, it looks like 2 kids because there's like 2 adult couples at their Thanksgiving table. And then like they've each got 5 kids. So they're, you know, so even if Hi and Ed can't have a ton of kids, they end up with a couple and then 10 grandkids or something like that. So, you know, it's a very much like that is as happy an ending as 2 kidnappers could possibly ask for, frankly. Like
Absolutely.
That is, but that's Raising Arizona. Very, very fun movie. Really great to look back at a very, very early Coen brothers film. This also marked, by the way, this was the last year pretty much until Leaving Las Vegas, where Cage was in really good movies. Because in 87, both this movie and Moonstruck came out.
Okay.
And then there was like...
He had like the Guarding Tess era, like all that kind of stuff.
Someone Like You.
Honeymoon in Vegas? Was that before Leaving Las Vegas?
That was before. Yeah, but it's like there's this. He did this stretch of like kind of rom-coms and just kind of crap until Leaving Las Vegas, which, you know, regenerated his career. But this was sort of the end of kind of an era of Cage's career.
Yeah.
And he really got sucked into kind of really just crappy mainstream rom-com stuff that weren't even all that good for the most part, for at least the next, you know, 7 or 8 years, right? Until Leaving Las Vegas in 95. So, but yeah, a lot of fun and a very different look at Nicolas Cage, which I think is, it's great for our Cagevember episodes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, this was my pick. Should I go ahead and rate this first?
Go for it.
All right. So yeah, I mean, such a fun Cage. What a great look, by the way.
Yes.
This is a fun, like I like to, I don't know if I talked about it on the pod, but I like to paint. And a lot of the stuff that I've done is just kind of like, you know, fan art type stuff, like a painting of a scene from a movie or a character or whatever. And I think this character is definitely on my list as someone that would be really fun to paint. I just love the look. I love the way this movie looks and feels in general. It's almost 40 years old. It doesn't feel super out of place. I mean, it obviously doesn't take place now, but you're not like, oh, this doesn't hold up. There's a couple lines where you're like, okay, maybe you tweak that a little now, but a lot of time has passed. All their performances were bangers. Yeah. And this really helped hopefully launch like part of the long and successful careers of some of the people that we love so much that are in this movie. Yeah. As a Cage, I mean, this isn't the cagiest Cage has ever been, no, but it was early in his career, and you definitely see glimpses of his range and like his ability. I don't know. His face is really magical. Jim Carrey gets credit for being rubber face. Cage is like secondary rubber face. I feel like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed the shit out of this movie. There's a lot of laughs in here. I'm going to go ahead and give the Coen brothers and Nick Cage a 4.5 out of 5 for Raising Arizona.
Fantastic. Yeah. I also really enjoyed it. I thought it was really great to watch. Like I said, kind of, earlier in Nicolas Cage's career, not earliest. I mean, he started in the 70s, but like, you know, very, very early part of the Coen brothers filmmaking career. And it was a really interesting way to look at this. Holly Hunter's a delight. She's an absolute delight in everything.
Didn't even talk about her. I mean, like she's so good in this.
It's really, really a lot of fun and looks great. She's gorgeous too. And the whole thing, that all the character actors that are in it, from Glenn and Dot to the Jailbird brothers to Nathan Arizona, like and Leonard Smalls, like the whole cast is just a really great group, really great ensemble. Had a lot of fun with it. Was not head over heels for it. Definitely wasn't like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like if I don't watch it again for a while, it's not going to like bother me kind of thing, but I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. All right. So that makes us an 8 out of 10. The two dads are an 8 out of 10 on Raising Arizona. Which is, I think, pretty fair.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. If you haven't seen this, I mean, this is really worth putting on your list. And again, it's only an hour and a half long. Yeah. So it's a breeze. It's really fun. Yeah. Absolutely. And it looks good and sounds good and everything. Yeah. And man, I'm kind of sad, Steve, that we're already like 3/4 of the way through Cagevember.
We are. We have one more Cagevember movie to do. And I am going to take us back away from the 80s Cage. Yes. And we're going back to the mid 90s, and we're going to go a little full circle. And I've got a whole timeline of a theoretical kind of how did we get to this point that we'll go into in the episode. But basically, we're going back to 1997, the same year Con Air came out. In fact, 21 days after Con Air came out, this movie came out. Nicolas Cage in yet another, hey, we got to put two big stars in an action movie together. Hey, we got to have a great action director do this. We put together John Woo, the director, with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, and we are going to do some acting like each other in Face Off. And Face Off to me is the culmination of this era of Nicolas Cage, and it's going to be so much fun. It's John Woo is a fantastic action director. The premise is insane, just absolutely ludicrously bonkers. And this is right after Travolta had his career resurrected. This is still just a couple of years after, actually 1 year after Nicolas Cage won the Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas, and here they are doing just the most absolute batshit crazy thing either of them would ever be in until Battlefield Earth.
I realize now I need to react audibly to what you're saying, because I just have this huge grin on my face, and the listeners cannot see this. I cannot wait, dude. I love Face Off. I loved it so much when it came out. Yes. And this is going to be a fun one.
So next week we will wrap up Cagevember with face off. That about wraps it up. So if you like what you hear, and we hope you do, please consider heading over to Apple or Spotify and leaving us a 5-star review. It really helps new folks find the show. If you want to drop us a line, share your thoughts on an episode, tell us what we got wrong, or suggest a movie we should do next, you can do so at theshow@twodads1movie.com. That's the number 2 and the number 1. You can also follow us on Instagram at 2dads1movie. Once again, this has been Raising Arizona, another episode of 2 Dads 1 Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, everyone.